All right, what's up? What's up, everybody? On a Tuesday, how you doing? It's about 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I don't know where in the country you are, so it could be kind of early in the morning. But maybe if you're getting a cup of coffee, having your breakfast, reading the paper, maybe you can just have a discussion with me instead. Because it's still news related and it's still getting the updates. So if you didn't see the title to this, the title I decided to do for this was a house divided. All right. Harris and Biden. Apparently, there's some drama going on in the Biden administration in the White House camp. Okay. And it's kind of funny. What's a sign that you know that you're losing? I would say that when things are so bad that the enemy or really just the people involved start to turn on each other and they look at each other and they start infighting, that's a sign of what's happening. It's a sign of impending demise when you start turning on each other. And so there's just been some recent articles put out by none other than CNN themselves talking about the disgruntled kind of petty back and forth apparently that's going on between the Harris camp and the Biden camp, and feeling like they're not been Harris's camp's claiming they've been set up to fail in so many ways because I don't know, every once in a while they have to ask a common sense or answer a common sense question like why haven't you been to the border? Why is inflation this high? I mean, what is your plan to deal with this? And she doesn't seem to have any answers, okay? So if you're watching this a little later, you can you can comment later. I'll try to get back to you. I always try to do that, even if you didn't get a chance to catch this live because it is kind of impromptu. But I wanted to touch on this subject. So let me read a little bit. This is not coming from nowhere. This is actually a CNN article, and the title of it, and I can't really show you the screen, so I'll read it. The title of this was "Exasperation and Dysfunction." Okay, inside Kamala Harris's frustrating start as vice president. Let's see. Maybe because nobody really wanted you, and your votes were embarrassing, and somehow they picked you at the last minute. I don't know, but anyway, let's get inside here. Check this out because the way they spin it is kind of funny. But this is what it says. It says, worn out by what we see as entrenched dysfunction and a lack of focus, key West Wing aides have largely thrown up their hands at Vice President Kamala Harris and her staff. Okay, this is West Wing aides. Okay, so people in the White House are like, what's going on with this person? We don't even know what to do with you. Okay, and her staff deciding there simply isn't time to deal with them right now, especially at the moment when President Joe Biden faces quickly multiplying legislative and political concerns. Yeah, because of his own doing. But anyway, the exasperation runs both ways. Interviews with nearly 3 dozen former and current Harris aides, administration officials, Democratic operatives, donors, and outside advisors who spoke extensively to CNN reveal a complex reality inside the White House. A complex reality. Yeah. They're pointing fingers at each other. That's how complex it is. But anyway, many in the vice president's circle fume that she's not being adequately prepared or positioned and instead is being sidelined. The vice president herself has told several, confidants that she feels constrained in what she's able to do politically, and those around her remain wary of even hinting at future political ambitions, with Biden's team highly attuned to signs of disloyalty, particularly from the vice president. So she's a heartbeat away from the presidency now. She could be just a year away from launching a presidential campaign of her own, given doubts throughout the political world that Biden will actually go through with the re-election bid in 24, something he's pledged to do publicly and privately. Or she'll be a critical validator in 3 years for the president trying to get the country to reelect him to serve until he's 86. Man, is he really that old? I forgot how old the dude was. It says few of the insiders who spoke with CNN think she's being well prepared for whichever role in which it will be. Well, hopefully it'll be no role. In fact, I believe and I declare it'll be no role. But anyway, checking this out, y'all. So a few insiders. So Harris is struggling with a rocky relationship, is what they say, with some parts of the White House, while longtime supporters feel abandoned and see no coherent public sense of what she's done or being or trying to do or being asked to do by the president. Being the first woman and the first woman of color, that's the only thing I can ever say. She is a woman and she has color on her skin. I mean, wow. You were born the way, the sex God made you to be, and you have a complexion the way God made you to be. Wow. But those aren't accomplishments, but never mind that. She's a woman and the first woman of color in nationally elected office, and it's historic, but has come with outside scrutiny and no forgiveness for even small errors that she'll often point out. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's really hilarious. And if they dare ask her a question, if they dare ask her a simple thing like, "Why haven't you been to the border?" The deflection, excuse me, 1 minute. I'm still speaking. I'm still speaking. That's how she'll say it. Like, I've been to Guatemala where a lot of these people are coming from. Okay. And I will be to the border. But have you been to the border? But I will be to the border. you know, this never directly giving any real concrete answers to anything. And it's just laughable if it wasn't so sad. So anyway, TSM tuning in from Jamaica. What's up from Jamaica all over the place? All right. Thanks for joining us. So I'm just here to report that those of you who are of my belief that 45 is a comeback number, baby, and that he's coming back. I continue to see 45 in so many different ways. I'll be cooking meat, and then it'll be like, hey, please let this rest for 45 minutes. Or, so and so scored 45 points. He was 4 for 5 from the field. It doesn't matter where I'm looking. I'm seeing 45 everywhere. If anyone who's ever heard me speak before, that's how God talks to me and reveals things to me. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I just believe him and let him sort out how it's going to go down. But we're getting close. And you'd have to imagine, for that to happen, you're going to have a couple things happen. Biden's approval rate is going to have to be so low in conjunction with Harris. Okay. I think the latest reporting polling is that Biden is at 38% polling, and that's including the Democrats. The Democrats don't like him. They're not happy. They're like, wait a minute. Our ideals lead to poverty, inflation. We can't afford things. There's shipping. We can't get what we need. Businesses are closing early. The hospitals are overcrowded, not because there's not enough room, but because they don't have enough workers. Maybe these policies are important. They're kind of starting to run up against their own ideology, and they're realizing it doesn't work. Well, I don't know if they've quite realized it doesn't work, but they're starting to figure it out. Let's give them some credit for that. They're like, wait a minute. I don't think I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Let's go, Brandon. You know what I mean? So that's happening. At the same time, Harris, who is just these people are puppetiest. I don't know whose hand is up there. If it's Bill Gates, it's probably part of him. Soros is probably part of him. Okay, what elites' hands are up? Harris and Biden. But these people are the most shell of human beings. And it's just absolutely laughable if it wasn't so sad, the lack of solutions that these people have and the unbelievably, impressively deplorable policies they put forth that lead to these things. She got asked about going to Harris. She got asked the other day about inflation, and kudos to the reporter who actually tried to be like, but what's your plan for dealing with the inflation? And then we got to listen to Harris basically say, well, first off, let's acknowledge that people are having a tough time right now. People are struggling. Gas is high, groceries are high, single mothers are, so people are really hurting. We need to be sensitive to that. And I'm just sitting there listening to her going, yeah. And why are they hurting there, Harris? Could it be because you killed the Keystone pipeline that helped us be, independent of other countries that usually don't like us so well, and we could actually manufacture our own oil and gas was like $1.80, and now it's like $4 and some change in California and climbing? Huh? Could it be that? Could the groceries be rising because obviously the people who supply our goods have to have fuel to be able to transport the foods to the grocery stores? So guess what? The pricing goes high. You don't need much of a third grade understanding of economics to realize why things are the way they are. Furthermore, what's TNS say real fast? Oh, yes, 45 is coming back for sure. The Lord showed me a vision, and in it, he was back as present. Oh, I love this, TSNM. Hey, give me your real name, and it might just be us talking right now. People will watch later. But give me your real name and tell me a little more about this vision, if you don't mind. Put it in the comments. I'll talk about it because it gets me excited. I'm hearing the Lord reveal this to me. I'm not the only one. Several people are, and it's just something that needs to be said. It encourages people. You can live from the future instead of the present, which is very fleeting. If you look at the news cycle, it's like, what's going to happen now? Oh, no. If you make decisions based on what you see in the present, it's a fleeting thing. And the present is, as fast as I snap my fingers, it's gone. Things change. You need to make decisions from the future. You need to know what's coming so that you cannot be distracted by the present fleeting little news headlines, and know what to do because you're headed to your future, whether you see it or not. And so that's the benefit of the prophetic. That's the benefit of, frankly, a relationship with the Lord who speaks to his children today, and who reveals his will. And he is consistently with me for a good 15 years, probably since I was about 21, 22, shown me some aspect of my future or what's coming ahead. Not in a ton of detail, mind you, but just enough to give me hope, to let me know, okay, this is what's on the horizon, and I can make decisions in the present to align with the future that was coming, and God keeps being right. I mean, that's just kind of what it is. So anyway, I was talking about, and I'll wait on you to let me know if you're going to tell me more about that vision, TSNM. But anyway, so we're talking about Harris and how, I mean, she dances around the subject. She goes, well, in the Build Back Better plan, okay, you need to understand that we have things in place to make daycare more affordable, and it be more affordable to take care of the elderly. Never mind that gas is skyrocketing. Never mind that the price of food is skyrocketing. Never mind that the fact that we can't even get our shipping to get into the country because these Democrats are holding things up, and they're claiming that there's not what do they say? There's not enough workers to unload this docking. Thank God we got people like DeSantis. He's opening up the state of Florida and saying, hey, come on to Florida. We're going to let the goods come into the country through us. You can see what's clearly going on here, but she has no answers. In fact, the Democrats as a whole have no solutions ever. The only thing I ever hear from the Democrats is tax. Okay, tax the rich. Okay, they're the problem. All right. But then whenever they start with those policies, you need to understand it's never the rich that really get hurt. They always have the loopholes. They always have the best accountants and lawyers, and somehow they shelter their money from all the taxes. It's always the middle class that gets gutted when Democrats start talking about taxing the wealthy. The wealthy are wealthy for a reason, and they know how to get around it, and they will stay wealthy and usually get richer after the election cycle, no matter who's in office. It seems to be the case. It is the middle class that gets gutted and burned and destroyed when they start talking about taxing the wealthy. It's all lies, but people keep falling for it. Plus, the shenanigans never seem to end. Okay. But I'm telling you, there's dissension already brewing. And so that's kind of my heart behind this. I want to point to the fact that, yes, 45 is coming back. And that's just an element. It's a big element, but it's a big element of what God is doing. And God is going to restore America. And it's about the last harvest. And he's not done with us yet. And the meek are going to inherit the earth. It's going to be some good stuff. But for that to happen, you need some developing events. So Biden is polling at 38%. Harris is even lower. She's at 27%. No one ever liked Harris, and they still don't. And the more she talks, the more you just don't like her. Okay. I mean, what are you going to do? She's black and a woman, but the way she got into that position is a little, morally suspect. I mean, that's the best I know to say from everything I've read and heard. Okay. So, you got these low polling numbers happening on both Democrats and Republicans for these people. People don't like them. And I'm hearing, and I don't know what to say about this because I'm still not sure how I feel about one Alex Jones. Okay. But someone sent me an article. I read it. There's a video clip that went with it. Alex Jones, InfoWars. So a lot of people believe that he's a plant by the deep state, and it could be true. Or either way, he talks about the fact that the deep state's moving. He is basically making the claim that he thinks they're going to assassinate Biden and put in Kamala. But the problem with that is no one likes Kamala, but that's going to be their play, and they're going to blame it on the Patriots, that the Patriots did it. And that could be true. But there's even a prophetic word somebody gave me, or shared with me, I should say. I read it, and I don't have it with me. Forgive me. It was about January. Someone saying that they saw a vision of the deep state trying to take out Biden, trying to put in Harris, but there was a lion on top of the desk. And he was kind of like roaming back and forth, literally keeping Harris and keeping the person who they're trying to put in place from getting there, because it was alluding to the fact that 45 is coming back. This was back in January. So God's timing is a tough thing. He'll tell you the future, and it seems so present. It seems so soon. But to God, a day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day. And so it can seem like it's tomorrow when you're experiencing the revelation of the Lord, but he might still be like 5 years off, or it could be 1 year off. I tend to think as he starts bringing things up again, it means you're getting closer. So anyway, TSNM is talking. He said, my name is Tashina. I hope I said that right. Tashina, in the vision, I was at a conference in the U.S. Okay, this is Tashina sharing about the vision she had from the Lord. Are you a late girl or boy? Tashina, like to me in America, that sounds like could be a girl name, but I don't want to offend you if it's a boy name. My name is Tashina. In the vision, I was at a conference in the U.S. They're announcing him to be president. And everyone stood and applauded, including me. Heck yeah. I'm in the conference too, whether or not you saw it in the vision, Tashina. Did God reveal to you anything about a timetable? When did you have this vision? If you can hear me, I'd love to hear your comment on that. When you had the vision, and what your sense is as to how soon this is. Now, there's a guy by the name of Manuel Johnson. If you've ever followed Elijah Streams or followed what's called Mega Praise Ministries, and it has the same name as me, so it got my attention. Mega, his ministry is called Mega Praise Ministries. But he's a guy who's he literally gets taken like into the future. Like he has these visions like Ezekiel did, or like even some revelations of John, where he gets taken and he calls it like time travel. And he goes, if you don't believe it, go back and read Ezekiel and read Revelation. It happens. And it's a unique thing. He's got a prophetic gift and he's had these experiences, but one in particular, he shared where he had a vision and God took him to the future, and where he was, it was like no evidence of the coronavirus. There was no evidence of people wearing masks, any kind of propaganda up, any kind of signs, things like that. And he was wandering around and everything looked calm. And he was in California. He's even from California, which is what's interesting. And he said that when he was there, he found a man walking on the road or nearby, and he got his attention. He goes, excuse me, I need to know, what year is it? What year is it? It was the first thing he wanted to know. And the guy answered to him and said 2022. And he goes, oh, okay. And then quickly he said, oh, wait a minute. I have one more question for you. He goes, yeah. He goes, well, who's president? He goes, you don't know? And the guy's like, I'm sorry, but I really don't. Who's president? And the guy looked at him and he said, Donald Trump. Okay. And then he said, as he was sharing the testimony, I think he shared it on one of his streams. He was just basically saying, I don't know why. I guess the Lord didn't have me think to ask anything else. I don't know, which is frustrating. He doesn't know the month per se or the day, but he does know it in 2022. So that's hopeful. A little bit of timing there. So anyway, if you believe that, and I tend to, because of what I believe the Lord's shown me. Either way, I mean, heck, if it happens next month, if it happens in 2022, I'm gonna be happy, okay, and I'm gonna be celebrating. Oh baby, FOMO years. If you ain't heard me sing my song before, me and my some of my brothers came up with before the interesting election cycle of last year, we were singing Donald Trump is your president. Donald Trump is your president. How many years? FOMO years. What you say? FOMO. I want to sing that song in particular. That's just a personal little God. That's my. I'm going to submit my request to you, and when you make that happen, I'll be so excited because he's going to be president FOMO years as soon as 45 comes back, and it's going to be a celebration. What's up, Regions Beyond? It says December 17th is the funeral, according to Dana Coverstone. Dana Coverstone. Now, when you say funeral, does that mean the death of the current regime? Is Dana, I believe, is a prophetic voice, the data dream. Is Dana Coverstone, is he the guy that's like a pastor who had those dreams that went kind of viral? And I think if you watch his dreams, he's basically saying, I'm not a prophet. I'm not claiming this is a prophecy, but this is my dream. Say it, take it for what you will. I think that's him, but you tell me, Regions Beyond. Is that the same guy? I remember that. Yeah, the funeral. So that'll be interesting. Tashina says, I'm a lady. I thought so. I had this vision in December of last year. No, I did not get a timeline. Yeah, I know. That's how God is, and that's what makes it so frustrating for believers, but also kind of adds to the skepticism of non-believers. Okay. And it doesn't even have to be a person who doesn't believe in Jesus. It's just a person who's skeptical and doesn't believe. Anyway. Oh, Josh Coyle. What's up, buddy? I didn't know that was your YouTube name. I know him, Josh Coyle. Very cool. Yeah. December 17th. So, Josh, apparently Tashina says that she had this dream in December, or excuse me, this vision in December. And so it's for an appointed time. And though it tarries, it will not delay when the appointed time is here. And so if you've ever gone through a season in Christ where you have been revealed something, it can be anything. It can be something personal for you, something God's going to do for you about your future spouse or about a business issue or anything, you'll probably notice that it tarries. Okay. In other words, there's a delay that happens as soon as God makes the promise, or you got some sort of sign or confirmation. Maybe got a prophetic word. I don't know what it is. But as soon as I would like to put it this way, as soon as you get to the point where you're pretty solid about it, like, man, this is from God and this is happening, and you have that real genuine faith belief there, it's going to delay, because the Bible talks about how the testing of your faith, it'll give you the things you need to walk into that season. Endurance, it'll give you patience, it'll literally form in you the character needed to enter into that season that God's revealing to you is ahead. Joseph, good grief, look at him. He got a revelation that everyone's gonna be bound to him, and he's gonna be this, big deal, basically. And in his lack of maturity and his youthfulness, he told his brothers that wasn't a good idea in hindsight, but hey, all things work together for good, right? and then he had to go through this serious amount of testing, and and he kept being promoted. He was in jail. He was a servant. He was all these things, and you wouldn't think like that. There's no way you're going to become what you think you're going to become based on what I'm seeing happening, right? If he looked at his present circumstances or had the eyes of his present that was very fleeting, he would have given up hope a long time ago. But he always had that character, and he demonstrated his ability to oversee the affairs of a man's house, to oversee the jail cell, and eventually it qualified him in the spirit to oversee the affairs of the kingdom of Egypt. I mean, wow. God's ways are not our ways. God's ways confound. His timetable doesn't seem like it makes any sense to us. But I once heard Kim Clement in one of his teachings say, God has a way of making up time. And if you look at Joseph, I would agree with that. I mean, if you look at his track, or step 1, step 2, step 3, I'm in jail overseeing a prison, and then just like that, in a day, he's the second most powerful man in the world. You would think that you'd have to go to some training, some sort of leadership school. The world says there's a certain way that you get to positions, but in God's kingdom, it'll look like a total roller coaster, and you'll look like you're in the bottom of the barrel, and just like that, you haven't missed a beat. You haven't skipped a beat. I can relate with that a little bit with how I ended up getting into education. It was a very outside the box way. I didn't see how I could be what God was calling me to be. And then all of a sudden, whoop, there's this unique program that expedited the speed process of how quickly I could be certified. And within a year, like, I had everything I thought I had given up. And I thought I was behind the 8 ball when it comes to getting my degree and being able to start when I wanted to. And God made it up that time. He has a way of making up time, if that makes sense. So anyway, reading a little bit more, Joshua says, yeah, wow. Yeah, that's what this year's felt like for sure. Alex has been right lately. Yeah, it sure seems like it. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got so much information out there. It's hard to know who's right. I mean, as time goes on, you see some people who you thought were on the up and up. And I think we're going to continue to see people who we think are good shepherds aren't. I don't have an opinion on Alex Jones one way or the other. I mean, I've seen some of his stuff, and it sure seems like he's been right about a lot of things, even going back to 2012 and 2011 when he did this special report called Conspiracy Theory, I think with Jesse Ventura. And back then, it was like 10 years ago, they talked about how they were going to do this man-made pandemic, basically, and then they were going to use what's to depopulate the world over time. And now you're seeing like, kind of looks like that's happening. You know what I mean? But then you have other questions that make you wonder, like, how did he get so mainstream? Why did the major networks actually carry him in some of his sayings? Why wouldn't they squash that? What had it just doesn't add up completely to me either. So, I mean, the bottom line is I'm hanging on to Jesus. Take truth for what it is. Everybody is a sinner. Everybody isn't, no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I sin. I have blind spots like everybody else, but you have to sift through, listen to a person, take what's good, cling on to that, throw out what's not, and abide in the Lord, and the truth will set you free. It's just what it is. Okay. So anyway, just reading a little bit more. Joshua doing really well with, yeah. So I mean, I'm not here to say I want freedom. That's my thing. When it comes to the jab, I tend to not trust it for reasons and the political nature behind it and everything. I hope everyone's fine, and I know God's big enough, even if we do make mistakes, and when we do, one way or the other. I'm just saying I don't need it forced. Okay, forced in the way that it's being. I mean, you think it's cancer, and there's a cure for it, and they're trying to make people take. It doesn't add up to me, and I think some of y'all see what this is and know what it is. So anyway, just pointing out the fact that I believe 45 is coming back, and I believe he's coming back soon. And what's interesting is that Kamala and Biden, both, it's not how they appear to be. I mean, most people who can see straight through it know that they're not this buddy chummy. It's all, they're plants, and they've been put together because elites above them made them get put together, right? But there's just tit for tat. She's thinking that she's being patronized in some ways, and her camp isn't trusting in the Biden camp, and they're blaming each other because they don't know how to answer real questions asked by semi real reporters. Not that they exist that much anymore, But anyway, just looking at some of this stuff, it says that she's perceived to be in such a weak position, talking about Harris, that top Democrats in and outside of Washington have begun to speculate privately, asking each other why the White House has allowed her to become so hobbled in the public consciousness, at least as they see it. She's very honored and very proud to be vice president of the United States. Her job as the number two is to be helpful and supportive to the president and to take on work that he asked her to take on, says one person. The lieutenant governor of California and a longtime friend, um, Konalaskis, I'm not going to say that name, spoke with the vice president last Monday morning before Harris departed from a diplomatic mission to France. It is natural that those of us who know her and how much more helpful she can be than this would be a little bit frustrated. That's where the frustration is coming from. And the incumbent vice president should be a shoe-in the next time the party's presidential nominee is open. Yeah, right. A shoe. It's not going to be a shoe-in by the people. Did you hear that? It's natural that she's going to be a shoe-in for the next nomination for the Democratic Party. Can y'all imagine a Harris? Oh my God. I mean, no one likes her. And we know this. Propaganda, CNN. My goodness. My goodness. It says other politicians with their own presidential ambitions have started privately acknowledging that they are trying to figure out how to quietly lay the groundwork to run if when Harris falters, as they think she might. Oh man. So the point is this. I could read the whole thing. I'm not going to do it. But I wanted to come on here and just point out to the fact things are not all hunky dory. The Bible, I think it says clear, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Okay. So I guess that's my main point. Let me say that again. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And as we know, it's been prophesied and it's been revealed to Sheena, I think I said that right, and to myself, 45 is coming back and soon. And it just makes sense to me that if he is, it makes sense that a house divided against itself. The vice president, the president are at odds. There's discord. They're not on the same page. The Bible says it cannot, not it might not, it cannot stand. So if Harris and Biden's camp is divided and it cannot stand, then that house cannot stand, which means something else is going to have to come up and fill that void, if you know what I'm saying. So as I said before, 45, oh my gosh, this is so prophetic. Right now, I got 4 people watching. And at the time I said that, there were 5 likes. So when I looked up, check this out. There were 4 people watching and there were 5 likes. So when I looked up in the corner on my end, I saw 45 as I was saying that. See, that's how God is. I don't care what you think. I know that's the Lord. I know that's his confirmation on his word. I know his voice. My sheep know my voice, and I lead them out, is what the word says. And so how God talks to me, this little sheep, might be a little different tone of voice, might be a different style than he talks to you, Joshua, or to you, Tashina. Y'all are made differently than I. You're wired and fashioned in your mother's womb differently than I am. And so just like I talk to my mother differently than I talk to my best friend, differently than I talk to my daughter, I'm more gentle with certain people. I'm more jokey because I know they can take it. With one of my best friends I went to college with, the way I communicate with different people is different, which is why when you have a relationship that's genuine and you believe and you start hearing God is leading in your life and you start recognizing, I think that was God, it's going to look different for you than it does for me. All I'm telling you is that I'm just revealing to you a little inside thing about me and my relationship with the Lord. A lot of times when God really wants me to get something or reveal something to me, he will put what it is I'm asking or struggling to believe or come to terms with, he'll shove it right in front of my eyes. And it happens all the time. So it just happened now. That is so cool. I love you, Lord. So cool. All right. So right now it's different. I want one more like, but at the time I mentioned it, it said 45 and I saw that, Lord. Anyway, so Joshua Coyle, I hope you're doing well. Let's see. Jim Royball, Texas is in the house. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Jim, Texas. Let's go. I love the state of Texas. Thank God for y'all, man. Lead the way. Might have to move there one day if things get crazy in Tennessee. But anyway, so far it's we got a little bit of common sense going on at the governorship level. Josh says, what are we praying for? Biden, if we're to be praying for those in authority over us, what do you want to see to bless him? Well, I mean, when you pray for your enemy, first off, can I address that? Because that's a theological issue. Pray for your enemies. Bless those. Sometimes blessing your enemy, the first way God will bless them is he'll bless them with the truth. Okay. Blessing doesn't mean I want them to be successful as a president of the United States. They're illegitimate. They weren't supposed to be there. They were stolen. I mean, God didn't bless Absalom when he tried to take the kingship from, I think it was Solomon at the time was supposed to take over as king, and Absalom had a little bit of temporary acknowledgement as king when he really wasn't. He didn't have that authority from heaven. So I do not believe, was it David? I'm sorry. So to take the throne from David, and it's happened again with Solomon with somebody else. But anyway, God didn't tell Dave, oh, bless the guy in charge. No, it was illegitimate, and there had to be some struggle, some warfare, some fighting, some action to get that rectified. So I bless Biden, but I bless him with him getting removed from a position that he has no business being in when he's doing things that hurt Christians, hurt people, kill unborn babies. I mean, you name it, the destruction that this guy is bringing on the earth. And bless him with truth. Get him to a point where he repents and acknowledges and confesses what he did and what happened, and steps down, and maybe he can get some mercy from the mercy seat. But I don't put that in God's hands how we bless him. Sure, bless him, but be open-minded about what blessings look like for people is my answer, Joshua. So anyway, appreciate you guys, man. I'm going to keep it short. It's about 30 minutes, 35 minutes, something like that. But I just wanted to just come in as an encouragement reminder. 45 is coming back. As Manuel Johnson says, I kind of like it. He's starting to grow on me because he's so cheerful. Okay. He goes, these are not gloomy days. These are glory days. These are not gloomy days. These are glory days. Glory days. And what's the definition of glory? I heard this at a church. The definition of glory is when God goes public. When God drowned the Egyptians in the Red Sea, oh, it was publicly known. It was publicly seen, and word got around the whole world. People had a fear of God. God went public. That's when his glory. He goes, I will gain glory over Pharaoh. That's what he says in the word. And so when God goes public, God gets acknowledged, and there's a fear that comes on people of the living God, and they hear about him, and things change in the atmosphere. And so what I'm telling you is these aren't gloomy days. These are glory days. And for glory days, sometimes at this magnitude, you got to have threats like Egypt. This is bigger than that. This is bigger than that, in my opinion, what we're about to see. So buckle up, baby. Put on the helmet of salvation. Put on the belt. Was it the belt of truth, I think? Breastplate of righteousness. Turn from your sin. Stop messing around with stuff you know is wrong. Get right with the Lord. Come to him now while you can be saved and put right. Get ready, because these are glory days, not gloomy days. All right. Reading a little bit more. Queen Score, what's up? Yes, bless him in the hopes he opens his eyes to see that he needs help. Yes, for Biden. Yeah, open his eyes. Bless him with truth about himself, truth about truth. You know what I mean? What's up, everybody? Raider Games. What's up, everybody? Glory. Yes. So I'm just here to tell you guys 45 is coming back. And as a reminder, the title of this video was A House Divided. A House Divided? I think so. It's showing that the Harris camp and they're blaming and pointing fingers at each other for their failures because they can't come up with any solutions at all. Everything they do just makes things worse. They're blaming each other. The house is divided, and the Bible says a house divided against itself cannot stand. So these are the conditions, in my opinion, that confirm the word of the Lord, that 45 is a comeback number. He's coming back soon, and their days are numbered. And how we pray for Biden, we pray for truth, him to accept truth and to repent. He'll be blessed if he does that. He'll still have to deal with the consequences, but he'll be blessed if he does that. We can bless him that way. But I'm not praying against God's will, and I'm not acting like God put him in authority. Who put Biden in authority? Really think about that question, okay? Really think about that question. Anyway, I got to bounce because I got other things to do today. Plus, I'm really hungry. I haven't eaten a thing all day, and I need to do that. So anyway, I love you guys till the wheels fall off. If you feel so led to bless the channel with a donation, the links are in the description. Or if you want to go to Rumble or subscribe at one of the other platforms, Odysee or Rumble, the links are in the description as well. My email's there too if you want to contact later. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. Raider Games has a quick comment before I leave. Hey, did you see that video where they explain how Pence took a deal to turn on Trump? I bet Trump will remember that when he comes back. Send me the link to that video if you don't mind. My email, Raider Gaines, is in the description. Okay. And I'll check it out. I don't know if I've seen that, but nothing surprises me anymore. You guys have a blessed one today. 45 is coming back. Go to the Lord, ask him, get right with him. You got to see from the future, not from the present. The present is fleeting, but the future is sure. It's coming. You need to make decisions based on what's coming, what is, and not what's passing away, if that makes some sense. So anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.